When we think of a serial killer, we usually picture someone scary, not an elderly lady. But in 2015, that image was turned upside down when 68-year-old Tamara Samsonova was arrested for some truly terrible crimes. It all started in late July 2015 when Tamara, who used to work at a hotel, was accused of killing 79-year-old Valentina Nikolaevna Ulanova. Tamara had been taking care of Valentina, but things took a dark turn. After the murder, she used a hacksaw to cut Valentina's body into pieces and then dumped it near a pond behind her apartment. Security cameras caught Tamara dragging a big black garbage bag out of her home, and inside was the body of Valentina. But that wasn't all. After her arrest, police found out that Tamara was also suspected of murdering another man back in 2003. This man was a 44-year-old lodger who had lived with her. When they searched her apartment, they discovered his business card. Tamara admitted to killing him during a fight, and his body had been found years earlier in almost the same spot as Valentina's. In her diary, she wrote chillingly about how she cut him into pieces in the bathroom. "I killed my tenant Volodya, cut him into pieces in the bathroom with a knife, put the pieces of his body in plastic bags and then threw them away, and threw the bags away." Tamara became known as the Granny Ripper, and as more details came out, people were horrified by what they learned. She had been seen making several trips carrying bags filled with body parts. Her confessions revealed that she might have killed even more people than just Valentina and the lodger. Today, we dive into the twisted mind of Tamara Samsonova. What could have pushed her to commit such awful acts? How did she manage to fool everyone for so long? Tamara was born on April 25, 1947, in a small town called Uzur in central Russia. It was a place where about 20,000 people lived, but not much is known about her early years. After finishing high school, she traveled far away to Moscow for college. There, she studied languages at Moscow State Linguistic University and began to enjoy life in the big city. As Tamara settled into her new life, she seemed just like any other student. But deep inside her was a mind that could think of terrible things. After finishing college, Tamara moved to Leningrad, a bustling city that would later become known as St. Petersburg. It was the early 1970s, and the city was alive with nearly 4 million people. Among the crowd, she met a man named Alexei. Not the famous inventor of Tetris, but someone who would change her life forever. Tamara and Alexei quickly fell in love and soon got married. They settled into a newly built panel house in the KCH China area. These panel houses were simple buildings that popped up all over the Soviet Union after World War II to help house the growing population. Tamara found a job as a travel agent, using her degree in languages. She was friendly and spoke several languages, which made her popular with her clients. Her skills helped her land a position at the Grand Hotel Europe, a fancy place that welcomed many foreign visitors. Tamara thrived there, working for 16 years before she finally retired. After she retired, not much was known about Tamara's life until something strange happened. Her husband Alexei suddenly disappeared. They had been together for about 30 years, and then he vanished without a trace. Worried, Tamara went to the police to report him missing. She told them she thought he might have run off with another woman. Because of her explanation, the police didn't rush to search for Alexei. It seemed more like a marital problem than anything serious. They noted her report but didn't investigate deeply, believing it was just a case of a husband leaving his wife. Little did they know this was only the start of a dark story that would unfold in Tamara's life. With Alexei gone, Tamara decided to rent out a room in her apartment to earn some extra money. However, she struggled to keep her roommates for long. Neighbors later remembered that living with Tamara was tough. She often caused loud disturbances. They reported hearing banging on the radiator, yelling, and other unsettling noises coming from her apartment. New roommates would quickly pack their bags and leave, while neighbors watched with suspicion, betting on how long each one would last. Tamara didn't just vent her frustrations. She also kept detailed diaries. For years, she wrote in Russian, English, and sometimes German, filling the pages with her thoughts and daily life. Her entries included boring details about sleepless nights, sipping coffee, and taking medicine. But Tamara had many interests beyond her daily routine. She loved writing songs and had a collection of books about black magic and astrology. As time went on, in 2014, Tamara decided it was time to renovate her apartment. This was perfect timing because she had just met a 79-year-old woman named Valentina Nikolaevna. Valentina was looking for someone to move in and help with chores around the house. At 68 years old, Tamara offered Valentina a place to stay during the renovations in exchange for help with household tasks. This arrangement seemed great for both women. Tamara welcomed Valentina into her home, thinking it would be a perfect setup while her apartment was being fixed up. Tamara enjoyed living at Valentina's place, but sadly, Valentina did not feel the same way. As time passed, their relationship turned sour. Eventually, Valentina asked Tamara to move out, but Tamara firmly refused. "That's crazy," she insisted, her voice rising. Valentina expressed her frustration, saying she was tired of Tamara not keeping up with the housework. To Valentina, it felt like Tamara was just squatting in her home. Despite Valentina's pleas for her to leave, Tamara remained stubborn. In July 2015, their tension boiled over into a fierce argument about unwashed dishes. It was a common problem. Neither woman wanted to tackle the chore. Ironically, Tamara had moved in to help with housework, but was failing to keep her promise. Instead of moving out as requested, Tamara decided that Valentina had become a problem that needed to be solved. In a shocking twist, she resolved to poison Valentina. Later, Tamara claimed she panicked because she felt unsafe living with her. She thought that if Valentina were gone, she could enjoy peace in the apartment for the next 5 months until the renovations were complete. The argument over dirty dishes pushed Tamara over the edge. Determined to act, she drove to a nearby city and convinced a pharmacist to sell her a prescription drug called Phazin. This medication was known for its calming effects and was originally developed in Russia to treat insomnia and anxiety. The pharmacist handed over 50 pills without suspicion. Once back at Valentina's apartment, Tamara cooked one of Valentina's favorite meals, an Olivier salad, a traditional Russian dish made with peas, potatoes, carrots, onions, pickles, eggs, and some kind of meat, all mixed together with mayonnaise. It was the perfect meal to hide her dark plan. Carefully, Tamara crushed all 50 pills and mixed them into the salad before serving it to Valentina, who had no idea what was about to happen. After giving Valentina her food, Tamara went to bed, anxiously waiting for the pills to take effect. Around 2 a.m., she woke up and headed to the kitchen. To her horror, she found Valentina's body lying on the kitchen floor. Reports differ on whether Valentina was still alive when Tamara discovered her. But either way, Tamara's next actions were chilling. In a moment of panic and desperation, Tamara decided to dismember Valentina. She later told police that she chose to do this in the kitchen because Valentina was too heavy to carry into the bathroom. The details of what happened next are unclear, but it is known that Tamara wrapped Valentina's body parts in pieces of a shower curtain and placed them into plastic bags. Afterward, she disposed of the bags in a pond near her neighborhood. CCTV footage captured Tamara dragging plastic bags to the pond on 7 different occasions. 3 days later, on July 26, 2015, a couple was out walking their dog by the pond, enjoying a peaceful afternoon. Suddenly, their dog became very interested in a bag that had washed ashore. Curious, the couple decided to open it, only to be met with a horrifying sight: a headless and limbless torso. Shocked and horrified, they immediately called the police. Unbeknownst to them, on the night of Valentina's murder, someone had already alerted the authorities after seeing Tamara near the pond, dropping bags into the water. The police were starting to piece together a troubling picture. To make matters worse for Tamara, a social worker had stopped by to check on Valentina but was refused entry into the apartment. All these clues were beginning to point in one direction. When police arrived in the neighborhood to ask questions, they discovered that no one had seen Valentina for days. They quickly made their way to the pond to collect the bags and investigate further. Just one day after finding the body parts, they confirmed that they belonged to Valentina. The police then returned to Valentina's apartment and knocked on the door. Tamara answered, welcoming them inside with an unsettling cheerfulness. "Come on in. Don't be shy," she said, as if nothing was wrong. Once inside, the officers began their search. They soon found traces of blood in both the kitchen and bathroom. Then they noticed something odd. The shower curtain had been torn off. This raised suspicions among the investigators. They confronted Tamara directly, asking her about the strange circumstances surrounding her living situation and the unsettling evidence they had uncovered. Listen, there's blood. There's evidence. Plus, no one has seen Valentina in days, the police told Tamara, their voices firm but calm. Without hesitation, Tamara replied, "Okay, you got me." She didn't even try to deny it. This confession made things easier for everyone involved. The officers arrested her and took her into custody. Once there, Tamara recounted the entire argument over the dishes, a story that must have sounded absurd to the detectives. She explained how she had bought the drugs at the pharmacy and mixed all 50 pills into Valentina's salad. As the investigation continued, police searched Valentina's apartment and discovered Tamara's diary. It was a treasure trove of information for the investigators, even though it was written in 3 different languages. They quickly deciphered her entries and found much more than songs and poetry. They uncovered handwritten confessions to several other murders. Tamara had been very busy indeed. Her diary revealed that she had killed some of her former roommates, whom she described as annoying. One entry detailed how she had dismembered a tenant named Vadim in the bathroom, placing his body parts into plastic bags and disposing of them in different districts. Another chilling entry described how she had done the same to a 44-year-old man named Sergei. According to her entries, she and Sergei had an argument that escalated into murder. In a fit of rage, she dismembered his body and placed the parts into different plastic bags, which she then dumped around the neighborhood. Investigators soon discovered that in 2003, a headless, armless, and legless body had been found on the same street Tamara mentioned in her diary. This case had gone unsolved until now. The connection deepened when Tamara described Sergei's tattoos in her writings, providing investigators with crucial evidence. They realized they didn't need to conduct extensive investigations. All the answers were laid out in her diary. After her arrest, police found Sergei's business card and traces of his blood in Tamara's apartment, further solidifying their case against her. In her diary, she wrote about how much she loved Valentina, but that relationship had ended tragically. Some entries hinted at something even more disturbing. Tamara suggested that she had eaten parts of her victims, including their lungs, legs, and pieces of their heads. This raised unsettling questions. Was she cooking some kind of soup? Did she share her meals with others? The thought was disturbing, as if one might go to Grandma's house for dinner and unknowingly be served something sinister. On July 29, 2015, Tamara was taken to the Frunze District Court of St. Petersburg. In a striking move, they placed her in a cage in the courtroom. "I'm being treated like an animal," she exclaimed. But given the nature of her crimes, many felt it was justified. Despite being caged, Tamara still managed to speak with journalists. She addressed the media, saying, "I knew this day would come." She lamented that the whole city would learn of her actions. In a bizarre twist, she claimed to be haunted by a maniac who forced her to kill, suggesting she might have been hearing voices in her head. Throughout the court proceedings, Tamara displayed strange behavior. Sometimes she hid her face in her hands, seemingly ashamed that everyone would know what she had done. Other times, she cried, possibly embarrassed about her ruined reputation. Yet there were moments when she sat up proudly, even flirting with the court and media, blowing kisses and fixing her hair as if trying to appear charming. At one point during the trial, she acted confused about her surroundings. People wondered if she was putting on an act or genuinely lost. In a translation of what she told the judge, Tamara stated that all the killings were deliberate and that for the last 10 years, she had been preparing for this day. She expressed a desire to be known as a serial killer, which seemed contradictory to her erratic behavior in court. After killing Valentina, she realized she had nowhere to live and thought, "I might as well just live in prison." So, she decided to confess to her crimes. This was puzzling, especially since she had claimed her apartment was being renovated. It was hard to know what to believe from her. In court, Tamara told the judge that she was guilty and deserved punishment. When the judge announced that she would be held in custody, Tamara smiled and clapped her hands, seemingly pleased with the outcome. She was taken to jail while awaiting trial, and the police continued their investigation. Despite her confessions about multiple murders, it was difficult for investigators to trust Tamara's words. She had shared many colorful stories that often contradicted each other. At one point, she claimed to be an actress and a graduate of the prestigious Vaganova Academy of Russian Ballet. Then she changed her story again, saying she worked at one of the city's finest hotels. This left police struggling to piece together the truth. While Tamara presented herself as a confused old lady, the investigators reviewed CCTV footage that showed her dumping bags into the pond. They also had footage of her carrying a saucepan believed to contain body parts, but they never found it. The whereabouts of those crucial pieces remained a mystery. By November 2015, Tamara had been in custody for several months as she awaited trial. The court ordered a psychological evaluation, which revealed that she posed a danger to herself and society. This assessment led to her transfer in December 2015 to a special psychiatric prison in Kazan while the police completed their investigation. During the investigation, police spoke with Tamara's family, neighbors, and friends. Many recalled that Tamara often bragged about becoming famous one day. She claimed she would cause a sensation, though she never explained what kind of sensation she meant. This left people wondering if she was hinting at something darker. One neighbor, who had known Tamara for about 15 years, mentioned her fascination with the notorious serial killer Andrei Chikatilo, also known as the Red Ripper. This man had killed and eaten at least 52 women in the late 70s and 90s. The neighbor noted that Tamara seemed to have extensive knowledge about Chikatilo and his crimes. Interestingly, the neighbor shared a peculiar memory. Tamara would often sit topless with her back to the window. "I don't know how I know that," the neighbor admitted, "but I just know she did it a lot." He added that Tamara was quite attractive, which felt like an unnecessary detail but was part of his account. Amidst these observations, the neighbor also revealed something potentially significant. Tamara had once borrowed their hacksaw and never returned it. In light of her later crimes, this detail took on a chilling significance. The investigation further uncovered that Tamara had been in and out of mental institutions at least 3 times over the past 15 years. Doctors had suspected she suffered from schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a serious mental disorder that can involve hallucinations and delusions, making it a frightening condition. Tamara had mentioned feeling haunted by a maniac in her head, which could have been a manifestation of her illness. While this does not excuse her actions, it added complexity to her case. Investigators also spoke with one of Tamara's school friends, who revealed a shocking claim. Tamara had allegedly killed her own mother-in-law. The friend was hesitant to come forward because Tamara had threatened her, saying, "If you say anything, I will cut you up into pieces and throw you out to the dogs." Fearing for her safety, the friend decided to keep quiet. As police gathered information from Tamara's acquaintances, she remained in treatment at a special hospital. There, she was officially diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and deemed unfit to stand trial. The judge ordered that Tamara spend the rest of her life in a mental institution due to her ongoing threat to herself and others. She required close monitoring for years to come. There were also lingering questions about the number of victims Tamara may have had. Investigators believed she could be responsible for more murders than initially thought. Some reports suggested she had killed as many as 11 people, while others claimed the number could be as high as 14. Many of these potential victims were tenants who had mysteriously disappeared from her life. However, confirming these claims proved difficult since the police lacked solid evidence beyond Tamara's diary and her own confessions. Without a body, proving anything can be incredibly difficult. However, Tamara's diary made chilling references to both cannibalism and the occult, leading many to wonder if her interest in black magic was connected to her crimes. Investigators also suspected that Tamara had killed and dismembered her husband, Alexei, the very man she claimed had run off with another woman. At this point, it seemed plausible, but again, there was no way to confirm these suspicions since no bodies had been found. As for Tamara, she was still alive, residing in a high-security psychiatric prison hospital. This fact surprised some people. One source from the investigation remarked that we may never fully understand the extent of her killings. Perhaps one day she would provide a complete confession, but many doubted it would happen anytime soon. Some suggested that releasing her diary to the public could shed light on her motives. It would certainly be intriguing to read, even if it would be unsettling. The story of Tamara Samsonova is one of a killer who seemed to murder without clear reason. Unlike many female murderers who often kill out of passion or for financial gain, Tamara appeared to kill simply for the thrill of it. This lack of motive made her case particularly rare and perplexing. It raised questions about her mental state and what drove her to commit such horrific acts. Imagine waking up one day to discover that your grandmother was a serial killer. It would be a shocking revelation. As the investigation continues, many are left wondering what truly motivated Tamara's actions. Her story remains a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives.